Good evening, everyone. So today we will be covering, I would say, a huge topic, because a lot of persons, I realize, and it's growing, will show the numbers, are suffering from impure blood as well as heart issues. And we want to go into it so that we can help each and everyone who want to overcome that. The beautiful thing about it is that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And the Lord has so made us in a way where if we correct issues that affect our bodies are so forgiving, it will be corrected and we can be healthy again. So it's such a privilege, presenting on health and presenting on wellness on this platform because it within itself is a blessing and it shows how gracious the Lord is with us. Right. All right, so I am Shreese Williamson, natural health practitioner and master herbalist, and we will definitely be going into this topic that is so needed. All right, so the importance of blood. What is blood? The Bible tells us that the life of the flesh is in the blood. I find that really fascinating. The life of the flesh is in the blood. We see that through the fact that if our blood is not pure, then we will see that this causes so many different ailments. And when you correct the blood, we realize that things are corrected. These disease processes are corrected. So what is the blood? The blood is a specialized body fluid, essential for life. It consists of plasma cells that circulate throughout the body, and it accounts for 7 to 8% of our body weight. So when you get a cut, that thing, that fluid, that red fluid that comes out, that is the blood. And we'll see how important it is today. All right, so some functions of the blood. One, it transports oxygen. It gives us the good things like oxygen, nutrients that our body needs. They travel to the cells, right? And if we get a cut, you realize that a little scab is formed. First, a little this red thick formation occurs, which we call clotting, and then it heals up. You form a little scab and stuff. So all of those good stuff like the platelets are in the blood. It also transports bad stuff from out the blood. So you have your carbon dioxide after your cells use up the oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide comes out, right? Also waste. So it goes in the different cells and it mops up the waste in the cells. Yes, and how does it these wastes come out of our body? Through urine. So when we urinate, those wastes comes out. When we defecate, we pass stool, those waste come out. Waste comes out through breathing. Waste comes out through even sweating. And that is why it's so important to, put in some time, put in some daily exercise. So you sweat, you release the salts, you release the uric acid. So that's a way of waste coming out of your body. All right. So it has so many different functions, and if we understand how important the blood is, then we will see how important it is to keep the blood pure. All right, so effects of impure blood. And when we say impure, it means that the blood is toxic. So whatever process the body goes through in bringing out those impure toxins, something would have happened and it's not getting rid of those those toxins, right? So the blood now is impure or toxic. And as I said before, it can lead to major health issues. including inflammatory diseases, which is a big thing now. Generally, we eat a diet, our diet consists of inflammatory food. And what do I mean by that? Most of our diet has the whites. Whites like the rice, white rice. Yes, that's very inflammatory. That's like sugar. Once you include sugar in your diet, a lot of sugar, that causes inflammation in the body. Processed meat, inflammation, like your hot dogs, your bacon, your sausages, fried foods, very inflammatory. All right, white bread, your white flour, those cause inflammation. And you realize one of the presentations of inflammation is mucus. So as Kenny, I think he spoke about last week, where everybody just, most people, they're walking by and they just spit. You just walk by and spit. What is happening? Where is that mucus coming from? What is happening? You know, most persons their bodies are inflamed, and it's due to, one of the reasons is due to the diet. Kenil, do you want to add anything where inflammation is concerned?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, it's underappreciated how inflammation actually affects the blood vessels. All right, inflammation, I would call it it is the body's normal um, defense against invasion. But when we speak about inflammation as a problem, it's like it's beyond the upper limits of normal. And what happens is that it stresses the blood vessels. This is cutting edge. What's coming out now is that we're finding that it's not just having a high triglyceride level in the blood that causes plaque buildup, but it's actually inflammation. Inflammation stresses the innermost part of the blood vessels, known as the epithelial layer or the tunica intima. And what it does is that the epithelial layers actually stretch and become farther apart, now giving place for fat to be deposited within that layer of the blood vessel and cause that bulge. And when it bulges over time, added inflammation then causes it to separate, and that fat is now protruding into the blood vessel, into the traffic of, those blood cells. So, how did it get into the wall of the blood vessel in the first place to cause atherosclerosis? Inflammation. So, what you're saying here really touches a very salient point, that inflammation is a root cause of cardiovascular problems. Yeah. Okay. Am I being heard now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if what I shared earlier on was received, but I was just sharing that inflammation affects the blood vessels. And what it causes that the innermost layer of the blood vessels containing the epithelial cells to actually be stressed by inflammation, and causes those epithelial boundaries to actually separate and be farther apart. Now, when they're farther apart, they become more permeable to fat entering the blood vessel. And it's that fat that deposits in the innermost part of the blood vessel that actually causes that bulge within the blood vessel, known as atherosclerosis. Now, as this inflammation continues, what it does is that it gnaws at the this layer that has the bulge of fat underneath it, and then it frees the fat at some point. The fat is now protruding into the blood vessel in the way of oncoming red blood cell traffic, and sooner or later will dislodge to some distant area, causing possibly a stroke or a heart attack.
Yeah.
How did it get there in the first place? It's because of inflammation stressing the blood vessel. So what you're saying here about that inflammatory diet and lifestyle practices, sometimes it's not appreciated how inflammation actually affects our cardiovascular health. But thank you for bringing that out.
Yes, thank you. So we see here that if your body is always in that inflammatory mode, that can lead to heart attack or even stroke, right? due to fat break off. So that's important. If you based on what I listed out just now in terms of the diet, I would advise persons just to try their best to wean off the whites, wean off the processed food, wean off the sugary food, and that will help your body to come out of that inflammatory stage or long-term inflammatory stage. All right, so gastrointestinal complications. So if the body's not throwing off the impurities, you'll have your digestive system being toxic, right? You'll have your colon being toxic, the stomach being toxic, your whole diet, and you'll have persons when they come, they say, I'm always gassy, I'm always bloaty, I'm not going to the bathroom, I'm going to the bathroom every 3 days. No, that is not okay. It's not okay. I won't even say that it's okay. It's not, right? If you're eating 3 meals per day, ideally you should be going to the bathroom 3 times per day. Maybe twice a day or once a day based on your rhythm. You have some persons have the rhythm, but not every other day, not every 3 days, not once a week, right? It shows that your body, your blood is toxified because all these tools, what you're eating, where are they going? They're going back, the toxins are going back into the blood. So we have to be careful. Hormonal changes, impure blood can disrupt hormonal balances, causing symptoms like mood swings, menstrual irregularities. So that's something that you have to look at, right? That's something that you have to look at. So if it is a case, most persons, they suffer from PCOS, which is called PMOS, no, right? But if the life of the flesh is in the blood, then you go back to the cause, ascertain the cause, which is clean the blood. All right, so memory impairment, so high levels of impure blood may lead to memory loss and cognitive decline, right? So if you find yourself in that position, time to clean the blood, time to, and we're going to go into how you can go about cleaning the blood. Organ failure. Yes, if your body's toxic for too long, until the liver itself, which cleans the toxin, becomes toxic, and the kidneys as well. You can have different stages of kidney diseases, as well as you can have liver disease as well. So the blood is very important, and cleansing the blood is vital. All right, so diet, let's go into it. Someone asked about what about a mostly raw diet? That's perfect, but we will go into it. So a poor quality of food cooked in an improper manner and insufficient in quantity cannot make good blood. Look at it again. It says a poor quality food cooked in improper manner. So most persons, they do mostly frying. Think about it. Insufficient quantity. Most persons, they only have white on their plates or red and brown on the plates. Rice and peas and chicken. Rice and peas and some meat kind on their plate. But you have to have sufficient quantity or sufficient nutrients. You have to have a balanced diet when you're eating, and also looking at your colors. Am I getting in the colors? Am I getting in my reds? Am I getting in my oranges in terms of the color scheme, the fruit and vegetable? This is the fruit and vegetable color wheel. Over to the right. Are you getting in your purple? Right? Are you getting in your greens every single day? We have to pay attention to those things. So as it says that flesh meats, write them down. These are things that you have to get rid of if you want to have a pure blood. And think about it. If you if you know that what you eat will give you the blood that you are made the blood that you have that is life that will nourish the organs, which will cause life to your body, you'll feel good and energized, then you will be peculiar in what you put into your body, right? Yes, so flesh meat, butter, cheese. Oh my goodness, this is one of the worst thing that has ever been invented, I would say, in terms of food. It is very addictive. That's why they put cheese on every single children's snacks. Everything, even now I see cheese banana chips. Very addictive. Yes, that's a hook for the children and even for adults as well. But as it says that rich pastries, spiced foods, and condiments are freely partaken of both old and young. The blood-making organs cannot convert such things into good blood. So this is a wake-up call. These things cannot be changed into good blood. So what can we do? We have to stay away. It says children should not be allowed to eat gross articles of food, such as pork, sausage, spices, rich cakes, and pastry. For by so doing, their blood becomes fevered or what we would call inflamed, the nervous system unduly excited, and the morals are in danger of being affected. So it will be even harder for the child to perceive right from wrong, right? So we have to, even for our children, if you have a child and they're just always sickly, every cold, every flu that hits the child has it, just rashes, everything. If they're hyper yeah, if they're allergic to almost everything, then that's something that you can think about. What are you feeding the child? And then you look into cleansing the child's blood and correcting those articles of food. Get a whole food, fruits, vegetables, getting your good protein. You don't have to eat animal protein, and the child will be okay. All right, so overeating can cause impure blood. So indulging in eating too frequently. So if you eat right around the clock, if you eat your breakfast and then right after you're snacking in between, and then you eat your lunch and you're snacking in between, and you eat your dinner and you're snacking, and you have supper and you snack, especially if you're eating right around the clock, right? That's what we say. And too large, if you're eating too much, it overtaxes the digestive organs and reduces and produces a fever stage, the same inflammatory state of the system, and the blood becomes impure, and then disease of various kinds follow. So these are things I know that each week we cover something. So I know this is just a reiteration of what was covered a couple weeks ago in terms of overeating. Our flesh meats will depreciate the blood, and it's a fact. Cook meat with spices and eat it with rich cakes and pies, and you have a bad quality of blood. And what is the reason for a platform like this if when you leave the these principles of health don't stand out? So flesh meat, it says, will depreciate the blood. I would normally advise persons, if you're eating, say, flesh meat 5 times a week or 7 days a week, you cut it down 3 days a week. And while you're doing that, you start incorporating your beans. You try to figure out ways of cooking, ways in which you can incorporate your vegetables, how to cook different, healthful cooking and so on. In the meantime, and then you cut it down to 2 days away, and then you cut it down to one. And then by that time, you would be more knowledgeable in food preparation and food combinations so that you can be healthy. Many persons, they just cut off the meat and then they start on rice and white rice and callaloo or bright rice and cabbage. And then they turn back and say, boy, this thing not working for me. Right? But we're showing you how you can responsibly wean off these things because they create impure blood. They create a lot of things, and we're gonna go into it. So, when we feed on flesh, the juices of what we eat pass into the circulation. Did you know that? Thus, a feverish condition is created because the animals are diseased, and we plant the seeds of disease in our own tissue and blood. Right? So when the animals, remember, you have, I don't know if you've ever been around someone who raised white fowl, for example, or white chicken, or other animals, right? And sometimes they just turn over and die. They have heart attack. Imagine that chicken being killed just before, and you're eating that, all the disease processes in it, whatever the chicken has or whatever the cow has. If the cow has mad cow disease, many persons died from mad cow disease because they ate the flesh of the cow, right? So we see that things are passed from the animal realm to us when we eat, especially when they are diseased. And how do we know if they're diseased or not? We don't know. So it's always best to err on the side of caution, right? So long-term inflammation leads to damage of healthy cells. It stiffens the arteries, as Kenny was explaining. It causes persistent fatigue. So you're always tired, always drowsy, always feel like demotivated, and it increase the risk of severe diseases like diabetes and heart disease. So it's okay, when we're young and strong, but it's not okay when we're feeding diseases. We're feeding our bodies with diseases. And why do I say that? Because you're feeding the body with these impure articles which cause impure blood and which leads to disease. So it's best to correct them from now while
Yes.
we can. Yes, go ahead.
Often we think about how similar our bodies are to even a car engine. I mean, if you have that oil in that car engine for too long and you don't change it, even the very pores in the car, there is this some ports. You have some small ports in the car engine that become clogged up and can actually destroy the engine. But earlier on, you talked about cleansing the blood. I wouldn't expect you to give us your full ingredient list, but will you be talking about some things that you give your patients to help cleanse their blood? Just asking. You're muted. If you're speaking, you're muted.
Yes, we'll talk about some at the end.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will So flesh meat leads to impure blood and a host of cardiovascular diseases, as we said before. For example, pork, although one of the most common articles of diet, is one of the most injurious. God did not prohibit the Hebrews from eating swine's flesh merely because to show his authority. I am God and I'm telling you to not eat pork. He did not do that. But it says, but because it was not a proper article of food for man, so it wasn't made for our consumption in the first place, it would fill the system with scrofula, and especially in that warm climate produce leprosy, so yeah, and disease of various kinds. Swine's flesh, above all other flesh meats, produces a bad state of blood. Look at that. So swine's flesh, he says, above all other ones, produce a bad state of blood. It is impossible for the flesh it is impossible for the flesh of living creatures to be healthy when filth is its natural element and when it feeds upon every detestable thing. Remember, pigs are natural scavengers of the earth. They feed upon whatever is dead or decayed or rotten. So when we feed on that and when we feed on the pork and they are scavengers of the earth, what are we doing? What will our blood condition be like? And that's practical. I love how the Lord is so practical. It says cancers, tumors, and inflammatory diseases are largely caused by meat eating. Wow. Flesh diet cannot make good blood. And look over to the right here. Look over to the right here. And you'll see a little in the chicken, you'll see right here in the chicken, you'll see these little yellow parts are these are cancers, and you won't ever see them because they're cut out before they reach to you. And nobody's gonna throw away the whole chicken when they want the money, right? So they're gonna cut it out and you're gonna get it in your plate. And also, here, down here, you see the fish with the big old tumor. This is a huge tumor on the fish right here, right? Yes, so these are what we eat, and these are what is causing the issues. When we eat these, we have meat with cancer, and we realize that we ourselves, our blood become impure with these little cancer cells, right? So we have to, it's no joke. It's no joke at all. All right. So other causes of impure blood, it can be hereditary, right? So from the food the mother was compelled to receive, she could not furnish a good quality of blood and therefore gave birth to children filled with humors. And it says, so even for mothers, we have to be careful what we eat during our pregnancy because it will show on our children. Someone at the blood bank told persons to, yeah, that it's a new thing now, carnivorous diet, so especially where anemia is concerned. But you can bring up your blood count. You have all your green vegetables. You can do your green juicing, and you have your spinach. You can supplement as well. You have your, mm-hmm. You have your kale, you have your broccoli, you can blend and you can have your greens. Also, not all anemia is due to low iron too. You have anemia which is due to low B12. And sometimes that can be from the stomach, because if the stomach, they have what is called cofactors, and if the stomach itself is damaged or deranged, then it won't produce those cofactors for the absorption of B12. So a lot of persons, they're supplementing with B12, they're supplementing, and it's just not working out for them. The doctor says that the B12 is still too low, even when they're eating up all the red meat and the beef liver and so on. Maybe because the stomach needs fixing, its stomach needs correcting in the first place so that it can absorb the B12. All right, so you can do your blends and you can get the iron levels up. Mustard seed as well is very good. All right, so you can also have diseases through drugs, impure blood through drugs, yes. So what drugs do, they don't cure, they only move, as I said, the disease which the drug was given to cure may disappear. So you have an issue You take for example, you have high blood pressure, you take the blood pressure medication, and the blood pressure come down, and you're happy. You're like, praise the Lord, the blood pressure come down. But guess what? You start having kidney issues long term, or you start having cardiomegaly, which is the increase in the size of the heart. What is happening? But I've been taking my blood pressure medication. The blood pressure is stabilized, but then now my heart get big and my kidney is damaged. What is happening? So the drugs, they don't cure. They only move disease from one form to another. And an analogy that Kenny has always expressed, which I love, is that you have your garbage, right? And you have the garbage in your yard, and Dr. Drugs come in and say, all right, I'm going to help you. I'm going to get rid of your garbage. But what did it do? It took up all the garbage and it threw it right over the fence out to your neighbor. Hmm. That's more trouble for you. Yeah. That is more trouble for you. You throw it over your neighbor. That's what it does. It throw the garbage over to the neighboring part and you start having issues, right? And I'm just gonna finish reading and then Kenny can share your comments. It says, the disease which the drug was given to cure may disappear, but only to reappear in a new form, such as skin diseases, ulcers, painful disease joints, and sometimes in a more dangerous and deadly form. Like the liver, the heart, brain are frequently affected by drugs, and often all these organs are buried with diseases. These organs, which should be in healthy conditions, are enfeebled and the blood becomes impure. So when persons say, yeah, when I ask, how is everything? And they say, no, I'm on 3 blood pressure medication. I was on one, and no, I'm on two and it's helping, or no, the doctor put me on 3 blood pressure medication. And the thing is that, what does that mean? When you're on one blood pressure medication and it was helping you, and then you realize that you're on two and it stopped helping, right? Your blood pressure is skyrocketing, even though you're taking one. And then they give you two. And then over time, two can't work anymore, and they give you three. What is it saying? It is saying that the drugs can't help you. It is saying that something is wrong with your heart is going, or the kidneys are going. Yes, so I have to give you even more because you have different mechanisms. For example, for high blood pressure, which is the heart rate slows down. So the heart rate slows down, the pressure going to the cells lessen, and you have some that they call the water pill. If less liquid or water is in the blood, then the pressure would have lessened. So the drugs does is that it helps you to get rid of the water so that the pressure comes down. But is that good? Mm, you know, so these are things that we have to really sit down and analyze. And when we do that, we understand that, look, I really need to do what I should have done in the first place, which is change my diet, change my lifestyle, and I will be okay. You have to go back. If you're on the one medication, start changing your diet and your lifestyle. Accept the promises that God has given you, which is, if you do what I tell you, what is right in the sight of the Lord, He will bless you. He will bless your efforts. All right, so go ahead, Kenya.
Well, I mean, the first episode that we dealt with on this was that the human body is really given us from God, and that God is the true owner. And the only right perspective or approach to lasting health is that God owns our body. And too often we're in the world today looking for health from some other motivation, but the truest motivation is that we want to honor God by keeping our bodies according to His standard. This will last the test. As years goes on, you'll find that You are remaining healthy because you are accountable to a larger party. Why do I bring this up? The responsibility is in your hands. Whenever you go to the doctor or they may put you on some medication, that is not the fix. You know, as I'm Sharice is here saying, you just have to really take it up in hand and say, I am going to change something about my lifestyle because I invited this disease. I courted it. I say, hey, I like you. Why don't you come on over here? I know it has finally come. I courted it by my diet. I courted it by my lifestyle. Something I did. And when we take responsibility, we also have power. So that's beautiful what you're sharing, that you can't just take a pill for every ill and call it a day. Drugs don't seek equilibrium. Drugs seek to have their own business done in the body. All right. But natural ways, lifestyle seeks to put the body back in equilibrium. And so, if drugs are taken for a very long time, we know that the side effects, matter of fact, the body, which is always seeking equilibrium, overcomes the effect of the drug. And so, you need another one, and then another one. Because while the drug is doing its thing, the body is trying to get back to homeostasis. And the drug is trying to get its business done, which is not equilibrium or homeostasis, which is just to lower the blood pressure. So it's like a yin yang situation going on there. It underscores the importance of changing your lifestyle so that you can get off the drug, so that your body is not running without the drug. All right. But I'm not saying don't take the drug. It might save your life in the acute time, in this short space of time, but for long term, that's not God's will at all.
Amen. Amen. So lifestyle diseases requires lifestyle changes. And if you don't put in the effort of the lifestyle changes, you'll take a lifetime of drugs, right? So it's something that we have to. And the beautiful thing is that I had this person that I was working with, and each time she goes to her blood pressure is normal, normal at home when she takes her blood pressure. And then when she goes to the doctor, the blood pressure is sky high. And you're wondering what is happening because when I'm home and she has like two machines, right? And the two machines are telling her that the pressure is low, but when she goes to the doctor, it's high. And then I said to her, did you know that you have something called a white coat hypertension? Yes, just the fear of being at the doctor causes your blood pressure to skyrocket. Yes. White coat, yes, right? And sometimes persons, because you don't have a blood pressure machine at home, you're put on a blood pressure medication, which is really, you don't want it. You don't need it, not want, but you don't need it, right? And if there is an issue, then you can always correct the issue by correcting your circulation system. Correct it and your body will heal itself. Correct it. Just correct it. As you get older, you realize that you have to start nourishing not only the general body, but you have to nourish the specific areas. Nourish your heart. What are some heart stuff that I can have? What are some food that is more specific for the heart? What are some food that are specific for the lung? So you have to do that, pinpoint those as you get older because they need extra nourishment because they're working for a good amount of time, right? Yes. All right, so let me move on. So some facts are that the American Heart Association, in conjunction with National Institute of Health, annually reports the most up-to-date statistic related to heart disease, stroke, and cardiovascular risk factors, including core heart health behavior, like smoking, sleep, physical activity, diet, and weight, and health factors like cholesterol, blood pressure, and glucose control that contributes to cardiovascular health. And this is it. It says globally, cardiovascular disease caused an estimated 2.5 million deaths in 2025. And this remains the leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for roughly 1/3 of all global fatalities. So this is no joke. The circulation is no joke. Blood, no joke. This is something that we have to not just own up. Okay, I'm 40 now. They say I have high blood pressure and I have diabetes. No, don't own it like that. You don't have to. You don't have to have it, long term. You don't have to have long-term hypertension and diabetes. So proper circulation is important. Perfect health depends upon perfect circulation. And it says that the more active the circulation, the more free from obstructions and impurities will be the blood. So the freer circulation, the better the better the blood, because the blood will go and do what it's supposed to do, get the good stuff and throw off the bad stuff, right? So the blood nourishes the body. The health of the body depends upon health, the, the health of the body depends upon the healthful circulation of the blood. So at every pulsation of the heart, the blood should be propelled to the extremities and quickly and easily in order to have health, right? So every time the heart pumps, the blood should go right to the extremities and come back, right? That's how it is. But what happens? Most times you have inflammation going on. So you have the atherosclerosis happening. You have arteriosclerosis happening. The blood is viscous. You have that working with, you have a little clot going on. You have that. So what happens is that the circulation is impaired. And that is the reason why we see persons when the circulation of the foot, when it's gone really bad, then the foot starts to sore. You start having ulcers there because no blood is freely moving to throw off those impurities. So dressing can affect circulation. So cold temperatures can raise blood pressure by causing blood vessels to constrict and activating stress-related hormonal responses. So with cold, the cold, you have to, be very vigilant, right? In terms of when you're in a cold area, or if you live overseas and you have, in the winter time or in the cool time, that you clad properly. Because when the extremities are cold, then no blood, it slows down blood flow there, right? And because of that, you have little to no impurities being thrown off, and that can cause a lot of issues. It says the limbs and feet have large arteries to receive large amount of blood. That nutrition, elasticity, and strength may be imparted to them. But when the blood is chilled from these extremities, their blood vessels contract, which makes the circulation of the necessary amount of blood in them still more difficult, right? So dressing warmly is even good for fertility. For persons who are having fertility issues, I normally ask them, do you sleep with your foot facing the fan? And during the cold time, are your limbs chilled? You have to wear your thick leggings so that you can keep the area warm, and that I've seen has helped a lot, right? So that's something to take into consideration. We talk about this just now. Fans, they can create the chill in the room, and that can be the culprit. It can, for long-term use, and especially when it's cool, or the AC when it's cold, and you're there thinking that it's not causing any issues, and it can lead to high blood pressure. As I said, it can also reduce your fertility chances because the area is so chilled. No, and little to no blood is going to the limbs and the areas of fertility. All right. All right, let me just move on. So brain work without physical activity. So if you're a person who does a lot of brain work and you sit all day and then you get up, you go in your car, you go home, take a shower and you just sit again and you watch whatever. Brain work, physical activities, it causes the blood to stay, the brain work attracts the blood into the brain region, right? And less into the limbs. So that's something that you also have to be mindful about. All right, so vascular issues. You have different vascular issues. It says that we think that because the blood is in our bodies, it doesn't smell, right? When it pools and stays still, but it actually does. All right. So I've seen it when the blood is in the lung and when one of our family member of mine, the blood filled the lungs, and he said that when the doctors opened the lung area, the blood was just sprayed out. And guess what? It was so smelly. So yes, when the blood is not circulating properly in the body, you don't want to know how that smells. So because it has the impurities in it. So we have to ensure that we are paying attention to those vascular issues. It says it has impurities naturally that is collected to deliver to the different excretory sites, but interrupting the circulation of the blood, the entire system is deranged. So a bad circulation leaves the blood to become impure, inducing congestion of the brain and lungs, and causes diseases of the heart, the liver, and the lungs. By interrupting the circulation of the blood, the entire system becomes deranged, as I said before. Keneal, do you have any addition to what I just said?
I had some, but it's a question to you. I just want you to
Okay.
hang on later because I've seen you help people who have like acute high blood pressure and they brought it down to a level where they could actually sleep easy that night. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna detain you a little bit when you're through. I have some questions for you. I want to get to those good stuff. So as you're talking here about the blood and so on, it's just really key because often we just think that it's a fluid, but your blood has all the information about you.
Mm-hmm.
You can just look at your blood in a lab and actually guess within a 5 year plus or minus your lifestyle, your lifespan, and also your well span. Right? So really and truly we have to take care of that fluid and it starts with our lifestyle. What's on our plate plays a big role. So this is really key. You're giving me the keys to turn the locks in my life because after I leave the doctor's office, that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour is very small in comparative to me living my whole life and the decisions that I make from day to day. So thank you for laying the gauntlet right at our feet.
Mm-hmm. Th- Thank you. All right. So thank you so much for that, Keneal. Yes, I've had persons who within a 6-month time frame, they had really high blood pressure. And after that time frame, they stop taking everything and their pressure is back to normal and they don't want to see me or hear from me again, which is good. Right. So it takes a lot of different changes, lifestyle changes. Of course, we have specific herbs that will help along the way. And also, all right. So these are some blood vessel disorders that happen along. You have vasculitis, which is an inflammation of the vessel itself. You have hyperviscosity, where the blood is sluggish, and that can be because of high cholesterol. So the blood is thicker as well. It also can lead to varicose veins and varicose veins, and over time, varicose veins, it leads to long-term circulation issues, which can cause ulcers and so on, right? Compression, steel. So these are different blood vessel disorders. But we want to get into some good stuff too. Obesity and hypertension. Obesity is a medical condition, and when you go to a clinic, they check your BMI to see based on your height, how is your weight, and if the BMI is too high, then you're obese, right? And obesity, it can lead to high blood pressure because the excess weight increases the the work that the heart has to do, right? And straining the heart can lead to high blood pressure. So first thing when someone is overweight, I say, hey, you need to cut down. Let's go on a lifestyle regime where we cut down the weight. We're gonna do that, change the diet. For me, the quickest way that I lost weight, I don't carry a lot of weight, but the quickest way was when I turned a vegetarian, the weight just went like this. So I would call some persons, try the vegetarian diet and don't overeat in it. You'll get your results in terms of weight loss. Yes. So research shows obesity may account for 65 to 78% of primary hypertension cases. Yes, so obesity is directly linked to it. Um, Obesity activates your fight or flight hormone. So when fight or flight hormone, when you feel like you want to get some, like if you're to run, it's activated, or someone does something and you're frightened, it's activated for you to run. Your body's always in that state when you're obese. And so, um, it increases the heart rate and it increases the cardiac output, which overall puts a strain on the heart. So over time, you have persons who are obese, they would have done different heart surgeries if they don't correct that. Yes, obesity is that. So you have to work on that, change the lifestyle and work on that so that um, it can be controlled. So renal compression, increased fatty tissue, especially around the abdomen, can make space inside the body tight. As space shrinks and the pressure increases, people with obesity can experience compression of the organs, including the kidneys, which are part of the renal system. And compressing the kidneys can cause increase in pressure in the renal arteries, which increase in the overall blood pressure. So obese, you don't want to keep on that fat. It's always good to just change the lifestyle, change the diet, and keep the weight under control. Diabetes can lead to hypertension as well. A lot of persons don't know why when you have diabetes, it's sometimes automatic where you have high blood pressure, especially long term, right? Because diabetes, chronic high blood pressure, glucose level lead to increase in your insulin. So when you eat a lot, when you eat your whites, your refined carbs, the the glucose level spikes, right? Which causes your insulin to spike as well. But over time, when you overeat and you're eating too frequently as well, over time, the insulin level is always high. And guess what? Your body becomes resistant to the insulin because this is not a hormone that should always be there, but this hormone is always there. So I'm going to shut him out. That's what the cells say, right? So because the insulin, your body now becomes insulin resistant, and insulin is responsible for opening up the cells so that the blood pressure can lessen. Now, nothing is there to open the cell because the body shut out the insulin because it's just always showing up. It's always there. And so the blood vessels remain constricted, which causes an increase in blood pressure. So you see how they're connecting? Yes, they're connecting. Do not eat frequently. If you can eat twice a day, that's perfect, or 3 times a day if you're a hard worker, you hard physical labor. Three balanced meals or two balanced meals per day. Do not eat between meals, and that will help your glucose level. Also, that will help your blood pressure. So they're directly connected, and many persons don't know that. So you have high blood pressure, you take the drugs for the high blood pressure, but guess what? You don't care about the glucose level. The glucose you just eat because I don't have sugar, I don't have diabetes, so you just eat. But we know tonight, we see that connection of both of them. So control the diet, control what you eat, control the overeating, and you will also help to control your hypertension. All right? All right, stress and high blood pressure. As the Bible says, thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed upon thee because he trusted in thee. And this is something that you have to have your personal experience of trust in the Lord with. It says, when you feel stress, your body releases the same fight or flight hormones, and it causes the heart to beat faster, so the vessels become constrict and the blood pressure rise. So if you're always in that mode of the stress zone, guess what? Your blood pressure will always be high. So learn if it's a case where you need to pray about something, deal with it. Deal with whatever situation you're going through. Talk to someone, seek help. Pray about it. Talk to Christ as a friend to a friend, because he listens, and he will answer your prayer. He will comfort you, or do something that propels happiness in your life. Do some practical things, or try to remove the stress without sinning, right? Yes, without sinning. All right.
This is so powerful.
Yes, go ahead, Kenya.
Yes, I want to really comment on this. You have this situation called cardiomegaly, which is really when the heart has a enlarged status because of consistent hypertension. And sometimes persons are unable to pinpoint, what is it that's causing my blood pressure to be high? It change a diet, it change a lot of things, but one thing that is often underappreciated or missed is a stressful, continuous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Puts our body in a fight or flight mode. It activates the one of the, as is a parasympathetic nervous system to heighten blood pressure.
Yes.
And then we don't realize that it could be a stressful job situation.
Mm-hmm.
Job is worth your life, people. No job. Sometimes changing the environment, if you can't change situations, is better for your life.
Yeah.
And just those who are closest to us, maybe it's a home situation, extended family, or even your spouse. We must rightly appreciate the role that consistent high blood pressure because of stress plays upon the heart. Because once that
Mm-hmm.
heart gets too large for too long, and we don't control that, we can run into very serious problems.
Yes, thank you so much. And for stress relief, sometimes the stress can also lead to insomnia. As Kenny mentioned, some herbs that can help with insomnia and stress. You can get your supplement of L-theanine. That is always so good. Thank you, Kenya. Also, you can have your passion flower, passion flower. So, I don't know if you know passion in the passion fruit. There is the flower. There's a purple flower that it blooms before the passion comes. That flower is so good. It is so good with sleeping. You can also get it in supplement form. You also have your melatonin. You can get that in your supplement form as well. That's more close to natural. Um, the passion, the passion leaf itself also helps with the nerve. Yeah, so you have the passion fruit, the leaf also helps with nerve as well. So those help with stress. I'm just throwing it out there for persons who especially have stressful situations and they need a little herbal help. Those help as well. All right. So some tips, and this is the last slide. Some tips: change the diet and lifestyle to a more wholesome food, right? So wholesome meals in terms of your grains, your I'm thinking about the different food groups now, your fruits, your vegetables. We learned tonight that fresh meat does not cause good blood. It does not allow you to create good blood. So we're gonna cut that out now, right? But you remember the stages that I tell you. If you're eating it 7 days a week, you cut down to three. While you're cutting down to three, you're seeing how you can supplement the meat. So you're thinking about how to create your beans. What I did was it's so amazing when you're looking what you find. Because for me, I got a chance to explore all the different beans that are there that I didn't even know. I went to a function and someone, and a lot of persons actually said they didn't know what was lentil. They've never eaten lentil before. And not only like persons already never seen or eat, they don't know what lentil is, right? And I know lentil is vegetarian's national dish, right? But you have so many different types. You have red lentil, and these are easy. You have your cowpeas, I don't know what they call it overseas. You have your mung bean, you have your gungu, you have so many different beans. So what we did was we cook the beans and we put them in containers, put them in the fridge. So we want to eat, we can cut up our little vegetables and you make a nice little dish, or you have your bean stews, different one if you want to mix them or you want. So you do what you want to do. You can make bean balls. You can create different bakings of beans that you want, or your patties and stuff. And it's amazing how you get to explore in the kitchen and do, create your personal new stuff. All right, so explore, use that time so that when you're off meat, you don't start eating just the vegetable and rice and stuff. You have a whole diet that you are eating when you sit to eat, palatable and nutritious at the same time. Remove all vegetable oils and they produce and products that contain it. So you have your butter and stuff, even the vegetable margarine, have a lot of vegetable oil in it. They are one, cancer causing, two, they increase your blood cholesterol, right? Exercise, the more we exercise, the better will be the circulation of the blood. Those who accustom themselves to proper exercise in the open air, and I say open air because if you're in a gym setting and the vents are closed and everything, and you're breathing in the same cooled air, then that is not healthy, especially if you have a lot of persons there, that's not healthy. So you have to ensure that you're exercising in the open air, or if you choose to go to a gym, that the gym has good ventilation, right? It says will generally have a good and vigorous circulation. There is no exercise that can take the place of walking. By it, the circulation of the blood is greatly improved. All right, so remember, if you have high blood pressure and you have a circulation issue as well. So you want to increase and improve that circulation. And one way to do that is to exercise. You don't have to lift weights. You can do your light walking, or you can do your home workouts. I download an app where I workout. Right. So remove whites from your diet. So sugar, white rice, white flour, these refined carbs, you remove them from your diet because this produce a spike, a sudden spike in your blood sugar level. And we saw where it is connected to high blood pressure as well. Because for prolonged eating of those or consumption of those food, that will cause prolonged insulin, which will cause insulin resistance and high blood pressure. So we get that we're getting those out of our diet. All right. A full body detox at least twice a year to remove the toxins is recommended. And remember, toxins are also produced by worms. And worms sometimes they signal what they want in your blood and you feel for it. So sometimes the signal they're like, okay, we want some refined carbs, and you find yourself eating a lot of sweets and you can't help yourself and you never used to eat it. It could be the toxins that are produced by the worms, and you are feeding it, you're feeding them. It also could be fungus in the blood, especially if you're craving for chocolate, right? It could be fungus in the blood as well. And I've seen where just people detoxing the blood, joint pains disappear, sleep return to normal, rashes disappear. That doctor said that they had to live on blood they had to live on antihistamine for the rest of their lives. Those disappear. Yeast infection clear up, so it's very vital that you do that. Pure water to drink and fresh air to breathe invigorate the vital organs. So you have to ensure that you're breathing properly, actually. Many persons are not breathing properly. Some persons you have severe sinus issues and you always have severe sinus issues and the breathing is compromised and you're not throwing off and you're not inhaling the right amount of oxygen, you're not throwing off the carbon dioxide as you would do, right? So ensure that you keep your breathing in check. And one of the herbs that I love, especially for persons suffering from sinusitis, is you have your cinnamon. You have your cinnamon is very, very, very good. And you also have your Spanish needle. That's also very good. So you need to get those sinuses cleared. You need to get them cleared. All right, so you have the herbs of the field, make use of them and breathe properly because those affect your heart over time. Uh, Incorporate cayenne in the diet, and I must say that I have seen how cayenne is so powerful. Someone was having a stroke and we put cayenne right under the tongue. And by the time the person reached the hospital, their oxygen level was back on track. I would say if you have heart issues and stuff, you're working on them, because we're not gonna treat kind of like just in case powder, right? But you're gonna have those on hand while you're changing the lifestyle, while you're doing the tweaks. Cayenne is very, very good. Kenny, you want to talk a little bit on cayenne?
Cayenne is one of those wonder herbs. If you look at it, it looks like small drops of blood. So right there we have a visual clue already of what it is good for. But yeah, I mean, capsaicin, yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
active compound that's in it. And it works dually. So you have two types of stroke, for example. You just mentioned one there where you have a hemorrhagic stroke where someone could be bleeding into that blood into the brain, just to keep it simple. And if you should give like a anti-clotting drug in that situation, you would just cause the person to bleed out and die. So, they don't do that. They have to have a CT scan first to know if it is either hemorrhagic stroke or a ischemic one, where there is some blockage in the blood vessel and tissue starving of oxygen and dying. Both of these can be shown on a CT scan, and so then you would give anti-clotting drugs to free up that clot and to have blood. But here's the thing with the cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper works both ways. Isn't that amazing? So if it's a clot, cayenne pepper will burst it up. If it is a bleed, cayenne pepper actually helps to clot it. I tell you, these things are amazing. So it's a very powerful herb, and we spice actually, and we should grow our skill in having it in the home. I think it's at least 40,000 heat units. Don't go to the market and buy the one and think that one is just to spice up your food. But for therapeutic levels, you really want to go to the health food store and get one that's at least 40,000. 90,000 heat units is what we recommend, all right, to have on hand in your cabinet at home whenever you suspect such a situation.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, so we also have the garlic, and it's always good to age the garlic, which is you put it down for about 15 to 20 minutes. You cut it up, put it down for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you can just have it. You crush it, at least two buds, right? You age it, which is you put it, allow it to be in the open air for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you can just swallow it with water, and that will also help short-term high blood pressure. All right, it's one of those herbs that the body readily gets used to. So yeah, you have to be careful. Well, long term, you have to be careful. Always monitor your blood pressure so that, when the body gets used to the garlic and it's no longer bringing it down, then you will know. Also, it's always good to not just use a herb or use a spice or so, but to, as I said, the lifestyle changes are important. The exercise is important. The diet is important. Those are important. Okay. Reduce stress and forgive quickly. Fresh air. In order to have good blood, we must breathe well, as I said before, and anti-inflammatory supports. Kenil, you want to go ahead and talk about omega-3s?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Omega threes are powerful to keep the blood flowing nicely. No, for daily usage, forgetting I think it's just 100 or a couple of milligrams of DHA or EPA. But for people who have like very high triglyceride levels, 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams per day of DHA or EPA to keep.
Mhm.
This can actually save someone's life. This can actually put off a heart attack and then cancel it. All right. For many men, for example, they have what we call vasogenic impotence, where erectile dysfunction, but really it's just the vein, the arteries that supply the penis just being, clogged up. And
Mhm.
something as simple as omega 3s can actually keep those blood vessels nice and patent and restore that part of the man. But sometimes, as gentlemen, we see that, and all we're focusing on is that, that's not working. But it is actually a warning sign. Studies
Mhm.
show that persons who have erectile dysfunction 2 to 3 years later, they have a full blown heart attack. So
Wow.
definitely omega 3s, they lower inflammation. Earlier on you talked about inflammation, Shrees, you talk about that and how that really affects the blood vessels and causes atherosclerosis. Well, here you go. One of the things to lower inflammation in the body is definitely your omega 3s. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so Kenil, I'm passing over to you now. I'm way over time.
Okay. We just really want to thank you for coming on this evening, Shrees. And we're going to post I would like you to post the contact number for Health Secrets in the chat So anyone who wants to reach out for further information, maybe to get in touch with you or myself, or we offer prayer, we offer Bible studies. If you have further questions on the presentation that was made this evening, you can use this number that we're about to post in the chat and reach out some more. When you do your blood test, normally they test for cholesterol and all these things, but you want to make sure that the doctor is testing for your HB1AC, your glucose, and your insulin. Sometimes if you're not going to a functional medicine doctor, they don't generally ask for those things. But in the results of these things could be lying a lurking enemy, right? And we want to find that enemy before it becomes, it creeps upon us. We want to see the insulin levels. You want to know your blood glucose circulating levels and things like that. So there's some further tips. We're well over time. We really wanted to head into some other things, but you have a way to get in touch with us. We want to thank our presenter this evening. You have really gone overboard and served us fully. And I'm here taking notes, some things that you're here talking about that we don't readily appreciate as ways that we can do things that we can implement to take care of our health. We want to thank you for bringing these things out, and let us pray a blessing over everyone here this evening. We continue next week again, and we invite you back to come again as we keep discussing these issues, putting the keys to your future into your hands, how we can have better health as we work with the will of the Lord, what He has in store for us. All right, so have a wonderful evening, everyone. We want to bid you adieu. And is the number posted already? Yes, it is. Wonderful. So let's take that down if we need it. And have a wonderful evening. Have a great week. We will be posting the video recording of this and others as the week goes on. So if you'd like to have those, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or contact us so you can be on the broadcast list. All right. Have a good evening, everybody, and God bless you.